Morning, World Issues class of Period 3.
We've invaded your smartboard to teach you about something rather important.
That you may or may not need to know in future times, but it could be useful.
That it could. Alright, so here's the deal. There's these special organizations in both the United States and Canada called the CIA and CSIS.
Although both of these organizations are meant for the exact same purposes, there are many differences between the two.
The CIA was started in 1942 when it was known as the OSS,
Office of Strategic Services.
After World War II was over, the OSS was stopped and moved back to the State and War Departments. President Truman realized then that they needed a centralized intelligence organization. Truman signed the National Security Act of 1947.
And for those of you who don't know what that is, like Laura Dunn, it is simply an act that allows the government to become involved with foreign and national affairs. It allows the NSC,
National Security Council,
to be formed and rule over the CIA and other agencies.
And that established the CIA, and also gave the CIA the ability to coordinate all of the intelligence activities affecting national security.
And, fun fact of the day, guys, George W. Bush decided to abolish the position of DCI,
Director of Central Intelligence,
and the DDCI,
Deputy Director of Central Intelligence,
and instead created the position of the Director of Central Intelligence Agency, the Director of National Intelligence, who oversees the intelligence community, and National Counterterrorism Center.
Fascinating.
Very. In 1984, CSIS was created. The foundations of CSIS began when Sir John A. Macdonald created the Western Frontier Constabulary in 1864 to be Canada's detective and preventive police force, for the purpose of watching and patrolling the whole frontier from Toronto to Sarnia. This frontier then evolved in becoming the Royal Northwest Mounted Police, which in 1920 formed the RCMP. Between the First and Second World War, the security intelligence remained small and unnoticeable. In 1939, it employed 3 members and 2 stenographers.
People who take dictation.
The discovery of Soviet spies in Canada brought forward the modern era of Canadian espionage and intelligence. It showed Canada that not only were Russians interested in Canadian secrets, but wanted war. As Canadians went from post-war period to the Cold War, the intelligence operation grew immensely.
In the 1960s, CSIS realized there were more to secret intelligence than just spying.
The FLQ,
Front de Libération du Québec,
were using terrorism as a way to achieve its political goals.
To become their own godforsaken country of le Français.
Along with the debate of using nuclear weapons in Canada, the more United States was getting involved with Vietnam, and the large peace movement that were leading to politically motivated violence. Good stuff. They were beginning to get overwhelmed with all the responsibility and effort they suddenly had to put into their work, as their occupation had evolved from regular police work to protecting their entire country. They realized that they could not do the job properly if they stayed with the federal police force.
In the 1970s, things became less stressful as some of the ties between the RCMP and security service had been severed. But it wasn't until 1981 that the federal government decided a new intelligence organization would be created. It started as the Security Intelligence Transition Group was formed. They officially announced CSIS in 1983, where they made a bill explaining all of the things to do with CSIS for the general population. And it was passed through legislation and made official on June 16, 1984.
CSIS stands for Canadian Security Intelligence Service.
Yeah. Well, the CIA stands for Central Intelligence Agency.
Yeah? Well, CSIS has carried out operation overseas.
The CIA helps the government make decisions for foreign investigation based on foreign intelligence information.
CSIS targets individuals based on their activities, not on their ethnic origin or country of birth.
Well, the number of employees at the CIA cannot be disclosed because it's so big.
Terrorism, rapid increase of weapons of mass destruction, espionage, transnational criminal activities, and foreign influenced activities are all threats to the security of Canada!
The president is in charge of the CIA.
was obtained, CSIS could recruit university students to spy on their colleagues on campus. Yes?
The CIA does not conduct assassinations or engage in drug trafficking.
Go, Charlie! You may file a complaint about activity conducted by CSIS by first reading the process on their website.
They teach you how to cite a documentation on the CIA's about the CIA on the CIA's website.
The work of CSIS intelligence officers bears little resemblance to how it is portrayed on The Border. Good TV show. You should watch it sometime. So, yeah.
The CIA does have internships.
CSIS always wins. There is one important thing that every secret agent needs. A total necessity which beats out almost anything else. Obviously, the answer is gadgets. Who needs to know 7 languages, how to drive a car, or superpowers when you can have a technological gadget to do all that stuff for you?
This happens to be one of the things that greatly differs between the CIA and CSIS. Where the CIA has small motor vehicle insects that could transport information, CSIS was using a briefcase with a hidden tape recorder inside its lining.
When the CIA was using a digital X-ray detector panel roughly the size of a cheap Staples binder, CSIS had a camera in a purse.
Okay, that's embarrassment enough for Canada. But the point here is that, are you not noticing the difference here in the money being spent on these organizations, let alone the quality of their important gadgets?
There is a sickeningly extreme difference in budgets being used by CSIS and the CIA. Those of you with delicate sensibilities should close your ears.
The CIA's budget is undisclosed, but they do have a budget mentioned from 1998 at $27 billion. The CIA paid $40 million just for the construction of their headquarters.
Whereas the CSIS budget is a little lower. $300 million in 2007 to be exact. If you really squint your eyes and tilt your head whilst looking at these numbers, you may see a difference. Dun, 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 dun.
Awkward Mission Impossible clip.
This is the Angry Canadian Beaver. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, music's over.
Sorry.